ANC's reaction to this and other important issues of national importance. Joining me in studio is National Spokesperson for the African National Congress, Mahlengi Bhengu. Good evening to you, ma'am, and thank you very much for making time for us.
Good evening to you, Xoli. I don't see the banner of the ANC. At least there's a South African one. I just thought that it's all the US all over. But
we're discussing the G20 summit. We'll start the conversation there. Why do you believe, as the ANC, that the country is being punished by the United States? What is at play here? Are you able to make sense of what's going on?
Oh, we've all long made sense of what's going on, Xoli. When South Africa, the Republic, took Israeli to the International Court of Justice, we knew that there was going to be a lot of comebacks. But it was a just cause, because it aligns with our historical values and the commitments that our forebears, such as Nelson Mandela, made, that we can never be free if others are not free.
Yeah.
So now it has come to manifest. So I want to start there. And secondly, in 1994, this country, through the struggles of our people, constituted a new government founded on a new constitution where the principles of democracy, non-racialism, non-sexism, and prosperity and unity are foregrounded in the constitution. And we are really required, all of us, to act in the spirit of solidarity. So when the President of the United States, Donald Trump, trumps on the sovereignty of South Africa, we as the ANC were not going to keep quiet about that, because we know what it took for this constitutional democracy that is based on the rule of law, that is based on the doctrine of the separation of powers between the three arms of the state, an independent judiciary, the executive that implements policy, the legislature that passes the law.
Yeah. This decision by President Donald Trump, I'm not in any way suggesting that it may have been prompted by a recent meeting of the GNU partners, but it does come coincidentally on the back of that retreat by the political leaders in the government of national unity. And interesting reporting today suggesting that coming out of that meeting, there would now be a pathway that is chartered by the parties in the GNU, specifically on foreign policy. Are you able to expand on that for us? And where do the GNU partners stand when you have the most powerful country in the world doing this against the country? Is there a solution perhaps they are proposing?
It's important to also note that we are not the only country that is being targeted. And it's important to note that in the community, among the community of nations, there are nations that have to walk this difficult path. I suppose this is what South Africa is going through. But now, to the matter of the GNU leaders' retreat, I think the ECO will be best placed, and the presidency spokesperson will be best placed to respond in detail on that matter. But let me state what the ANC stance is. The ANC constituted the Government of National Unity, drafted the Statement of Intent, constituted the Government of National Unity because we had secured 40% of the national vote share. It was important that we continue to implement all of those things that are in the Freedom Charter, and therefore we needed to constitute a Government of National Unity for the sake of democracy, governance, and the stability of governance, and the continuation of meeting the needs of our people.
Yeah.
So where the foreign policy matter is concerned, the current international relations and cooperation policy is founded on the values of the Freedom Charter. Yeah. Even within the context of the Government of National Unity, we dare not forsake that which is in the Freedom Charter and in the Constitution, because then we'll be marching out of step with the Constitution. But in the interest of collegiality, because when you are in a government of national unity, which is not new for the first time, by the way, because we went through the same experience in 1994, 1996, it is important that you listen to your partners and you persuade each other, but not on the fundamentals of the foreign policy that is grounded in the Constitution.
Okay, all right. I think I've got to be crystal clear here as to my question. When there were discussions, particularly on South Africa's stance, taking Israel to the ICJ, there was a lot of back and forth, particularly between yourselves and the DA. And a clear message was communicated by the ANC, and that was that on foreign policy, that is the domain of the president. GNU partners have no role to play there. What I'm trying to tease out is whether there has been a change in that stance.
Not at all. Certainly not from the perspective of the ANC, and not anytime soon. It is a terrain of national government. You cannot have foreign policy considerations being reviewed or revised in a province. We are a unitary state. That's the position of the ANC.
All right. Let's conclude then on President Trump and his stance. So you've stated here that the reason this is happening is because South Africa, as a government, took the state of Israel to the International Court of Justice for the atrocities that the government here said were being committed against the people in Gaza.
The atrocities that in an interview with Helen, you were hard-pressed to get a sense of whether she has a full appreciation of the genocide in Gaza. And she basically said we are using a strong word, and she spoke about, but genocide is a strong word. And so let's look out also for the right-wing forces in our country, that it starts with the DA and all of them, for the fact that they continue to turn a blind eye in what is happening in Gaza, which is the most humanitarian crisis the world has ever seen.
Yeah.
Let's also look out for what Kali Kriel was saying. Kali Kriel, I happened to work with him when I was 26 years old in a youth commission, which was a GNU youth commission, because President Mandela was very strong about inclusivity in trying to construct a non-racial society. Always been destructive against the agenda of uniting the people. I wonder whether Kali said anything to you about those two Afrikaners that are activists of AfriForum and Solidarity, his constituency, that have been found to have vandalized government infrastructure in Rustenburg and were arrested. And there's no reportage on it. We will continue to talk about those things because actually in another country that is considered terrorism.
Yeah. I wonder when you bring up Helen Zille, Kali Kriel says to this channel over this weekend that they never said there was genocide in South Africa. Is that a sign of progress at least, you think?
It is not a sign of progress. It's a sign of a case of you when you speak from both sides of your mouth and but pronouncing different stances. They've said that repeatedly, and went and decampaigned, not only the ANC, decampaigned South Africa, planting ideas in President Trump's head that there is targeting of farmers in this country. Just last week, there was a report, and I need to remember the publication, of a farm worker and their spouse that were murdered. They will not talk about those things. And so the narrative of genocide, they realize that that thing has been contested successfully. If anybody still believes that, it must only be Donald Trump in this whole world.
So let's conclude
the European Union leaders were here in South Africa and met up with government and made a statement as a collective that they do not believe that there is white genocide in South Africa.
Indeed, and we know today as well that there is a group of Afrikaners who have said, not in our name.
Not in our name.
Right. So let's conclude on this then, because you're saying the basis of all of this happening is because of the case to the ICJ. So I guess the wonder then by South Africans and any other interested parties is whether the government of South Africa is going to relent on its case in the ICJ, or is that what you are going to push even stronger at a time when this summit is literally probably a week and a half to go? Why would a stunt like this be pulled? Because not so long ago, there was a promise that the Vice President of the United States would be the one that is attending. And now for a complete withdrawal of officials from the US, what do you do at a time like this? Is it good riddance, perhaps?
Well, I wouldn't say so, because then I would be undermining the need for continuous persuasion. But what we can say is the ANC, and as we've said it in our statement, that the G20 summit is going to proceed very smoothly. The whole world is coming to South Africa because South Africa is trusted internationally, considering its policies, considering our president being at the head and the lead of brokering peace in various jurisdictions. All of that trust, we have worked for it. And so the absence of the United States surely shouldn't stop any important platform of this nature. And it is bullying, not even an attempt at bullying. It is bullying, and I don't think it is bullying on the South African government only. I think it is bullying on many other allies of South Africa. It is also an attempt at attacking multilateralism. That is what we stand for. It is an attempt at attacking the statement of the South African government that we are working hard to look at all other alternative markets to be able to trade, to be able to establish more friends. So it is our foreign policy, it is our trade, industry and competition policy that is being assaulted. And so South Africa has to be strong. We're not new to these things. Remember, we fought an apartheid system that was unrelenting and even attacking neighboring countries that were supporting the liberation struggle.
All right. Let's move on to matters internal in the ANC. A statement was released this weekend saying that the Minister of Police, who's on suspension right now, Senzo Mchunu, is not going to step aside from the role. This now emerges on the basis that he had offered to step aside. Why is the party not acceding to what he is doing? Are you worried that it is perhaps an admission of guilt of sorts?
I'm actually quite amazed that this issue is being picked up in the manner in which it has been picked up, because Senzo Mchunu made that representation to the National Working Committee that is seized with such matters some time back, in July actually, late July if I'm not mistaken.
That he was willing to step aside?
Yes, and the ANC, in its wisdom, looked at our constitution, looked at our disciplinary policy, looked at our integrity commission's terms of reference, and considered that if we was allowed to step aside, not having been criminally charged, somebody else may come and say, you are violating the step-aside policy of the ANC.
So it's based on principle.
It's based on procedure.
However, there are the veterans. I'm not saying that this is what they have said, but whose main frustration with the image of the ANC is to say, let's avoid further damage to the image of this party.
Sure.
Are you not cognizant of that?
Very cognizant of that. In fact, I wanted to say, Toli, that this is a working story. It's a running story. The National Working Committee has a responsibility and is exercising it of keeping tabs and keeping a watchful brief on the developments around the matter involving Comrade Senzo Mchunu and any other people that are required to subject themselves to demonstrate that they are not in conflict with the law. So all I'm saying that it's not a fixed statement.
Yeah.
And it was always going to be the case when it was made. The veterans exist in the organization for many reasons, including that, to apply and advise based on their wisdom. And they strive to protect the historical values of the organization. And they are part of the decisions of the National Working Committee. They are represented there as well.
All right. I've got to put this final question to you, and there's no better way to put it except this way, because I think it's dramatic in the manner in which this media report has come. It
sounds like you're about to drop a bombshell.
It's to do with former President Thabo Mbeki.
Yes.
Suggestions that he may make a comeback into mainstream politics, but via the ANC. I'd like to put the question to you this way. He holds the view, and I'm not going to say he appears, he holds the view that since that conference of the ANC in 2007, which deposed him as leader of the party, agents or people who are apartheid agents infiltrated the ANC from then on, even almost suggesting that this current leadership could be part and parcel of that. I wonder what the party's thoughts are on this very, very strong statement, at least from the way I see it.
Wow. I actually just want to say that the ANC has a sitting president who is leading the organization successfully, who enjoys the support of many, many in the ANC, including veterans, who was elected democratically at the 55th National Conference in 2022. That's the first point. And I have received similar queries of this nature. And secondly, President Mbeki is our father, is a veteran, is an advisor, very actively engaged in the work of the organization. But he's not the sitting president. And so anyone who is saying that, they need obviously to pitch their thoughts in the appropriate constitutional structures of the ANC, which is the National Executive Committee. And also they need to await the discussion on the leadership question. That is not open at the moment. We're focused on building the organization. We're focused on reclaiming our name, reclaiming it from anyone that has soiled the name of the ANC, reclaiming it from those that have stolen the intellectual and heritage assets of the ANC, such as Mr. Jacob Zuma. We are not focused on electing leaders. So perhaps those that whisper to the newsrooms about this matter should be advised that we are saying, can they hold their horses?
Mahlengi Bhengu, thank you very much for your time tonight. ANC National Spokesperson.